I have to mute the volume on the other side. Okay. Because I am hearing myself while I'm talking. Let's just close some tabs. Okay. Updating. All right. Yeah, it's 1 p.m. Pacific. Let's see. I'm just checking the live right now. Thank you for those joining us. Okay. So, hi everybody. Welcome once again. Hello, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day you are catching us, or if you are watching us live right now, hello. Thank you for taking the time to join us for this support hour. Okay, sorry, one more thing. I'm confused with the setup of my computer right now, but all good. Okay. So, yeah, it's so fast. How are you, How are you, Maria? I know there's a lot of things happening in the back end, but
Yeah, no, I'm great. There are a lot of things happening here, and it's been a little crazy, so I do feel a little bit overwhelmed, but it's starting to get better, so we're getting there.
yeah, we are in the season also of learning a lot of technical aspect with the things that are happening in the company. But for today, we're going to have another support hour session. And we're going to talk about another issue we've been seeing with most businesses. Wait, sorry. Sorry, guys. I'm reading my week one talking points. Okay, so I have to scroll. Okay, that happens. Okay, so going back, today we're going to talk about something that has a bigger impact on your business, okay, than most people realize, and that's lead nurturing. But our highlight for this session is not about about the leads that you want to close right away, but the ones that don't buy immediately, because that's just the reality of life. Most leads don't actually say, no, I don't want to buy, no, I don't want to transact in your business or with your business. But what happens during the process is that they get busy or they get distracted from doing the purchase process. It happened to me. I'm checking out in my cart, and then something came up in real life that I have to address, so I don't really get to finish the process. Or there are some that just simply delay the decision or not yet ready at that point to buy or to do the transaction. They are just in the process of researching their options and so on. So the question becomes, what happens next? Okay. So going back, let's go back to the definition of lead nurturing. It's simply staying in touch with your leads consistently until they're ready. So we have there the keyword. The keyword is consistently. Okay, but it's not about chasing people down and grabbing them, hey, buy in virtually. But it's about staying visible and relevant. Because if you're not following up, there's a good chance that you won't actually they won't remember your business or your brand when they are ready. So just back up with me or think with me here. Let's just think through what usually happens. Okay, so this is generally in a business. Lead comes in. It can be through phone call or a form in your website. Okay, and then as the business owner or somebody from your team, you respond once, maybe twice, maybe you've set up something automatically. But the day gets full, things pile up, you have to address other things, and then the follow up stops there. So what happens is that that opportunity goes cold, or someone else follows up better, and they might choose that. They end up getting that deal. So in that case, sometimes it's not about needing more leads or better marketing. Both of which, of course, we know that are important. But let's look at this aspect as the opportunity being missed after the lead comes in. Okay, so let's think about what does good follow up actually look like. So most businesses they stop far too early, and that's where missed revenue happens, you know. But we're going to give you kind of like a structure. This is not a rigid rule, but based on what we see as best practices. So you can break it down as first 7 days. That could be that should be where the fast, consistent touch points happen because at that point, interest is high. They're searching, there's an intent to buy. Okay, and then weeks 2 to 4, don't give up on them just yet. Okay, continue to check in, paired with helpful information. And you know, sometimes it can even happen months after it's your goal should be you have to stay top of mind so that they come back to you when they're ready. So in a little while Maria will be showing you what that actually looks like in practice. So how a simple follow-up system can be set up to automatically stay in touch with your leads, and you don't have to think about it and you don't have to remember them manually. But as we go on, I'd like to leave you a couple of mindset shifts. Number one, a lead is still a lead until they clearly say no. And then the second one, sometimes silence doesn't mean no, but it just mean not right now. Okay. Maybe I don't have the money right now. Next time I will buy definitely. So all right. That's gotta be the introduction for this. Once again, to our viewers, you can write your comments as you watch the live session or watch the replay, and even in the other platforms that we are reposting this session. Feel free to write your questions there, and our team will respond. All right. So now, Maria, take it away.
Thank you, Diana. Give me just a sec while I share my screen. Alrighty, can you see my screen?
Yes, I'm seeing it.
Okay, awesome. Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Diana, for that great introduction. You are so right. I love that you mentioned how no action, doesn't automatically mean no. It just might mean, hey, I'm not ready to buy it. And I think that's so important. And it's something that like we both can experience as consumers. Sometimes we're just saving up or maybe it's just not the right time yet. I definitely am the type of person who gets a little bit compulsive with her purchases. So whenever I want to buy something, I have to think about it for at least a week. Otherwise, is it like, do I still need it after a week? Like, okay, we'll see. But anyways, alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and start showing you guys a little workflow regarding nurturing. Okay, so we are going to start with a few different workflows, and I've actually already created them. And sorry, my dog is
We have
barking
an
at somebody.
audience.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
listening. They're learning how to do workflows. But alrighty. So your first what's it called? Your first workflow is always going to be how you receive your leads. Okay, so whether it be a form submitted, whether it be Facebook messages, a phone call, an email, or just like any type of form that you might have on your website, that's going to be our initial trigger of how you bring in leads. And also when you put them manually in the opportunities pipelines in the stages and all that stuff, that's also like a legitimate type of, like a lead that comes in. But for this specific situation, we're going to talk about forms submitted. Okay, so forms submitted, this is going to be our trigger, and we're going to use our hotline test form that we've been using. We've used it a few times already. We're going to use that as our trigger. Of course, if you have like a contact us or a what's it called? Like a quote request type of form,
Estimates.
then yeah, estimates, exactly. Then you want to pick that, okay? So after that, what happens is that automatically right away, once somebody submits the form, you want to start your first follow-up sequence, and that means sending a text or a quick email. So mostly we recommend the text just because it reaches out to them directly through their phone, and people are always on their phones. or they're always like attentive, especially if they're like looking to purchase something. They're probably looking through a bunch of pages and just like on their phone. So you want to send a quick text that says, "Hey, thanks for reaching out. Want me to send you some info or help you book a time?" Whatever your service is. If you are, like hoping to kind of catch them quickly, then you can send out a super quick text. And what's really cool is that we've seen it firsthand work for one of our clients. He's set up Growth Genie 360, set up a little workflow that uh, sent text messages when a call was missed, and he was able to make an over $1,000 sale over text. So these are so important. You could be missing leads that only want to talk through text messages or only want to talk through email. Personally, because I am of the millennials, I'm a millennial. I hate talking on the phone. I'll do it. But if I'm looking for a service, I'll always go to the contact us form and say, hey, like this is what I'm looking for. How much is it gonna cost, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So you don't know, you obviously have your clients, your customers that love to talk on the phone and you can do that. But this is also like a great way to reach out to a wider audience and not to miss that opportunity because sometimes they might have questions that they just might be scared to ask or nervous or something like that. Alrighty. So right away, you want to set it up so that the text message sends, and then you want to wait a little while. All right. So let's see, we wait a day. And I created this if and, but you can do it without that. So let me go ahead and just kind of show you what I created here. You can do like the if, the time delay for anything, and it deleted everything. Okay. It deleted everything. So you can skip the wait and wait until like somebody replies to the SMS and continue the like the lead the contact pattern. But I'm gonna go ahead and just show you here what happens is that hold on. I didn't think it was gonna delete it, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it right here. And then we're gonna delete all this. All right. Okay, perfect. Alrighty, so again, we sent that text. We want to go ahead and do a time. Or wait, sorry. Wait, and then we wait a day. And after a day, if they haven't replied or nothing has happened, you haven't heard from them, you haven't moved them from that open lead stage over to your contacted stage or anything like that, then an email gets sent out. One email a day after that says, hey, here's some details that may interest you. Of course, you want to make sure that you have the correct custom values in place so that it says the customer's name, your name, and then also maybe like the product that they reached out about if you have a field that can fill out the custom value, okay? Next up, if they still haven't replied, you want to go ahead and wait another day and then follow up with just a quick text. Don't overwhelm them. Just say checking in. Hey, do you need help still? And then you wait again, maybe like 2 other days, and then you do the email. And it's kind of like hey, I'm going to send you a little bit more about our company because this might convince you to purchase with us or do business with us, right? So here you send in a quick email that has your FAQ, so everything they need to know. So maybe they're not sure about the return policy, or maybe they're not sure about sizing, whether it's going to fit their their machine or whatever it is that you're selling. And you want to go ahead and send them FAQs that addresses general concerns or general questions that your clients have had in the past. And well, finally, you can make this as long as you want. I do think that this looks pretty long, but I do think that this is like a very good structure and recommended like or in a structured like set of actions. And I do recommend that you do a few days of follow-ups, okay? And then you want to wait. And then finally, of course, you want to go ahead and say, oh, well, you know what? It's totally fine. You don't have to talk to me anyways. No,
Mm.
you can just say like, hey, this is like, don't forget, like you want to follow, like you don't want to, maybe you don't want to call it your final follow-up. You can, because what we're going to do next is we're going to add them to a lead nurturing campaign. Alrighty, so but you want to just kind of make it like the last email that you talk about the specific service or product that they came to look for on the website. Does that kind of sound good, Diana?
Yeah. And
Oh,
in terms of kind of like spacing the follow-up or the emails, there's no set rule in terms of, but there are considerations. One is, people don't read their emails every day. So you don't want that, your emails get stack up in their inbox, and sometimes when that happens to me, the as a consumer, the first thing that you do is just delete it because, oh, I'm receiving a lot of emails from this company. Right? I don't want to read a lot of emails, so think that, I mean, consider that, because people don't read their emails every day, and then they receive a lot of emails in their inboxes, right? And then
mm-hmm.
there's other things that Maria will cover in considering, like the time frame of the follow-ups. Oh, you may continue,
Yep.
Maria.
Thank you. All right, so after you send that last email, you're gonna wait about 7 days, and then you are going to add them to um your long-term nurturing sequence workflow. Now, this is assuming that you already have something set up. So we're gonna talk about that here in a second, okay? So let me go ahead and go back to workflows and just kind of show you what we've created already, and it's called the long-term nurturing sequence. And it's basically just a little sequence of a bunch of emails that you can send. And before we move on into that, actually, let's go ahead and go back to the lead, your first like lead follow-up workflow that we've been working with here. And okay, perfect. So now you're waiting 7 days, but then what happens? You want to put that client, that lead into the new workflow. So what you're going to do is you're going to add an action, and then you're going to look for workflow, and then you want to do add to workflow. And then of course you want to pick the correct workflow because otherwise it's not going to know what to no, it's not gonna know what to put it in. So lead, actually it's nurture, long-term nurturing sequence, okay? And we're gonna go click save. Don't put anything on here. Click save. Save it, and of course don't forget to publish it right here at the very top. Okay, so now we're gonna go to our long-term nurturing sequence that we've created. And this is going to be a sequence of emails, the occasional text, or whatever type of communication that you want to have. Okay, so this is a very small one. I think I've seen some that are like months long, possibly a year. I mean, if you can go up to years, that's really cool. You have your like set up and you don't have to do it again, but you do have to keep in mind that you might be updating products or you might be updating services. So you probably just want to do like a few months out, maybe like 3 months out. But you can do like, you can do as many emails as you want, wait a certain amount of time and send that out. So first, when we start with our long-term nurturing sequence, we're not going to set a trigger because every single person that comes into this, long-term nurturing sequence is going to be coming from the other workflow that we were just working on, the one with the leads. Of course, you can set up a trigger that says, hey, um, maybe if they've been on my like what's it called? On one of my stages for this long, then put them in this nurturing. Of course, you can do that for sure. Um, but in this situation, we're not going to do a trigger. If you do end up having a trigger and you have another like add to workflow and another workflow, then you want to put pass input trigger parameters that's got to be on. Otherwise, it's going to wait. It's going to add it. It's going to want to add it, but it's also going to conflict with the trigger and it's not going to do anything. It's just going to stay there. Alrighty. So right here, no trigger, and what's going to happen is you're going to start your sequence. And when we're talking about your nurturing sequence, we are going to talk about we're talking about sending out more general emails to the services that you offer, and not like the targeted emails that you were sending in the nurture, in the initial workflow, because you are going to put a lot of different people into this sequence, and you don't want to just like just talk about a specific product or service that might not apply to somebody else. So this is going to be general. You can send out things like products, sales, what's it called? I'm looking at my little sheet and because I remember I was talking about it earlier. So you can do like like
Like
offers,
promos, yeah.
promos,
Promos.
sales, all that fun stuff. You can do all that stuff that you want to, and you want to space it out within a few days. Like Diana was saying earlier, depending on the service that you provide, you want to make sure that you kind of evaluate, hey, does my client use my service every single day? Could they use my service every single day? Do they want to purchase my item, and is it something worth sending them an email every single day for? And then you can send out every single day, or you can do once every week, once every 3 days, just kind of whatever it is that you decide is best for your industry. There's no right or wrong question. I think I was mentioning a little bit earlier that sometimes I want to make a big purchase, right? And I have to think about it for a week. So there have been situations in the past where I forget, accidentally close the window of the item that I was kind of looking at, and then I'm like, oh man, I wish I had emails coming in. I wish I had signed up, or I wish that, or sometimes they just don't send you emails. And I've had that situation before when I'm like looking for something that I want to purchase, and I sign up for the newsletter, and then I don't get any emails at all until like 3 years later, and I'm like, I forgot I even like signed up for this. And then there are, of course, also the companies who send out multiple emails a day. Personally, I think that's very annoying. I can't even remember the name, but I wouldn't mention them anyways. But I had signed up for a newsletter, and they were sending me 2 emails a day, and I was like, that is way too many. My inbox is already flooding with a bunch of stuff, and now I'm getting these emails. This is really annoying. I don't like it. So I unsubscribed. Alrighty, so I mean, again, you can go on as far ahead as you would like. You can come back and add more. Um, you can add specific clients. Like if you have a certain nurturing sequence, I don't know, for like if you offer like a paid service that it's like free and then paid, you can add, you can section off and all that stuff, all that fun stuff. And you can just continue kind of adding as many emails, add text in there as well as check-ins. Of course, your client, kind of like Diana mentioned earlier, they can opt out at any time that they want. So don't assume because you don't hear from them that they don't want your emails anymore. Until they opt out, it means that you can continue sending them emails. Of course, when they opt out, no more emails, but you can send them emails, you can send them text messages and all that stuff with as many, like like just emails about your company, basically in general, and reminders. Alrighty. Let's see. Yeah, so okay, so another item that I do want to talk about is, let's go back to the beginning. I kind of didn't know where to put this, but so we're talking about a lead, right? A lead comes in quickly and you send an email, a text, but then they reply and you make a sale, and you don't want them to like continue on this little path in here, okay? So what are you gonna do? I'm going to save that first. And then what are you going to do? So you're going to create a super quick, like side tiny workflow, okay? And now you're thinking we're getting into too many workflows. And yes, but there are so many exceptions. There are so many situations, and you want to make sure that you hit them all. You're not bothering your clients. But your trigger is going to be something like, what would it be? Like email. Maybe oh yeah, so if they reply to a specific email. Okay, event or in workflow. Would that be in workflow? Yes. So we're gonna go ahead and what was the name of that? Leads come in and and opened or replied, or yeah, so if they opened it or something and you wanna go ahead, and I think that's kind of like if they opened it, they reply to a text message or anything, like you can add multiple triggers. So, anything like that, just when it comes to like your workflows, if they are taking that action, to if they're like replying to that email, then you can go ahead and just create like something as a trigger related to that specific workflow, and then just go and add the action to remove from workflow. And so that's going to work that way whenever somebody replies to your communications, then they can just what's it called? Get removed from this workflow. And then you can also do it in an if.
Maria,
Go
before
ahead.
you continue,
Yes.
if I can just add, you can what Maria is showing you right now may look complex, but that's actually still simple. But if you really want to specify it, there's an option, but we won't be able to show it to you. The use of AI in the triggers. Like, for example, if you want to remove the person because they already replied, yes, I will buy something to that. Yeah, Maria is showing it to you right now. Something to that extent. You can create like filters, you can prompt the AI within the system to remove them from the workflow if they did even a specific action or intent, and then the AI of the workflow can evaluate that. But of course you have to set those things in the workflow. But just to give you an idea, because sometimes, for example, somebody already said, okay, I will buy, and then they received the following sequences, and that's kind of like it doesn't look good for your I mean if I'm a customer and I was like, oh, I already bought from them, and then they're still following up on me. So right, so there's a way to do that. And I think Maria is
Yeah.
showing to you right now the AI assistant, and also kind of like, but that's a premium actions in
Yeah.
the workflow itself.
Yeah. But if you also that's a great thank you for mentioning that. Yes, AI can help you come up with all that. I think we've talked very briefly about how you can use the AI to help you come up with if it's possible, it's going to help you come up with the workflow. If not, then it's gonna give you some other way to do it. It's pretty cool, but it is a premium feature. And let's see. So now we're talking about we're talking about removing somebody from the stage, from this workflow, and we created another workflow, which that's something that you can do. You can also create a what, like an if then. So if somebody replies to this text message, it removes them. If not, then it keeps going down the little the stream here, the steps, but it can get really messy and it can really get really confusing. So I'm not going to show that here today, but if that's something that you're interested in, just contact us on in the group and then we can set up an appointment with you and just walk you through your specific situation because it can get pretty crazy. And it's not confusing. It's just like for a first time user, it can be very overwhelming. Alrighty. So now we're gonna talk about a stale lead. Okay, so we've actually talked about stale leads before, if you remember. It was a few weeks back, but how do you reach out to a client that has been on your list for how many days? So you have your client, they're going down the nurturing list, they're just hanging out, they're getting the emails every day or every week, whatever you decide, and it's been 6 months and they haven't purchased anything. You want to reach back out. All right. You can set up a little stale lead, what's it called? A stale lead workflow. And we're gonna go ahead and do it from scratch. And this is so fun because I didn't know it existed before we talked about it last time. So I'm like, oh, this is fun. I want to use it again. But your trigger is going to be your stale opportunities, okay? And this is saying, like, this is all assuming that you have created your nice pipeline with the stages and that person has been stuck in that stage of pipeline. Maybe they're just, you name it something like, um, what's it called? The words leave me. Okay, so you name it something like in the nurturing sequence or something simpler. And they've been in that stage for 6 months. So you want to come in here, create the trigger as a stale opportunity, and you want to go to in pipeline. You want to look for the specific pipeline, and then you want to go and the option's going to be pipeline stage, and then you're going to pick as if it would say nurturing stage. Okay. And then after you do that, we're just gonna go ahead and contact the tempted. After you do that, you're gonna go and look. What is it? Last recent duration and days. There we go. It's like right there. Duration and days. And then you are going to put in as many days of you as you want. If it's a type of situation where your product is like something that you want to they want to purchase right now, like very expensive machinery, then you maybe don't want to wait too long. Maybe you want to do 14 days. They've been stuck there for 14 days. If it's not that urgent, then maybe you want to do like 6 months. So you want to do like a they've been in that stage for 6 months, and now we're gonna go ahead and do something about it. And what can you do? You can do a lot of things. If you have a salesperson who personally reaches out, you can send an internal notification to a specific salesperson to have them reach out to that contact. If you want to send out an email that says, "Hey, we've noticed that you haven't made a purchase with us since you signed up, since you filled out our form, since you asked for a question, et cetera," then and you want to send them a little coupon, 10% off, you can do that. You can create an email, send email. You can send a text. You can, yeah, so you can do any of that. You can send a WhatsApp too if you connect that, but you can send a little email that says, "Hey, we've noticed that you still haven't decided if you want to make this purchase. Here's your 10% off coupon so that you can complete the purchase." Personally, I love it when that happens. Like, I will go and
Mhm.
purchase if it makes
Yeah.
sense. I'm like, let's do it. So
And
you can do a lot.
Maria, yeah, what's interesting about that is sometimes it only takes a little nudge to a prospect for them to actually buy. And I agree with you. It happened to me. I have no intention of buying a new shampoo, but when it popped up in my inbox and it's a brand that I support and I haven't been using it for quite some time, then okay, I'm gonna buy. So
Yeah.
yeah, if it happened to you and if you can say, "Oh, I can relate to that," then that's part of the journey. Sometimes it just takes one more nudge and then they're gonna buy from you.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
absolutely.
Maria.
Absolutely. And seriously, like I'm trying to think of a specific like personal situation to give you, but I have a lot of I have a lot of situations where I shop for I don't know, like you were talking about shampoo. I use like this like expensive shampoo for like curly hair specifically, and it's expensive. And sometimes they'll have like a little code for like a discount, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, I'll buy it like right now, even though I don't quite need it just yet because it's at a good discount. And I can use it later. Of course, it's not something I'm not saying like, hey, go do that because that would be irresponsible. If it makes sense, of course, you want to do that, but literally just a little nudge for sure. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and exit out of here. And I do wanna make a point to remind you that your long-term nurturing sequence is not just for it's not just for potential leads or for leads, it's also for your customers. So after you make a sale, and it's a new customer, new lead, whatever, you want to put them into this long-term nurturing sequence if it makes sense. Okay, so if you're selling, I don't know, earrings that you come up with like a new line every month or something like that. If it's something that's going to be purchased over and over and over. Obviously, if you're selling like a house, you might you might want to make a different like arrangement because I don't know, most people can't really buy more than one house, so that's something to think about. But this long-term nurturing is not just for your lost or you people who don't purchase right away. It's for all of your clients. You can literally put everybody there, though you can make long-term nurturing sequences specifically for clients who haven't purchased, and then one for everybody else that's a little bit more targeted, general, if that makes sense. And as I kind of wrap up this, I do want to point out some common mistakes that you might want to avoid when creating, like your nurture sequences. Stop following up too early. Like we mentioned a little bit before, your follow-ups can last as long as you want to. There is no right or wrong answer. It just depends on the type of business that you run and the type of like situation that your clients like might purchase whatever they might purchase. So don't stop following up too early. All right. A second mistake that you want to avoid is only following up once or twice. Again, you might want to continue and like make more follow-ups. Only once or twice is not enough. Sometimes your lead is going to need a little bit more time to make a decision to purchase something or not. So you definitely want to continue to follow up a few more times. And number three is using only one channel. And what does that mean? Don't just stick to email. Don't just stick to phone, to text. Of course, if that is like literally like your whole I don't know, like your whole business model is through text, and that's a little bit different. But just remember that whenever you're asking clients for information, you want to ask for a phone and an email. Otherwise, you can't send them like text messages if you don't have a phone from them. Alrighty. So you want to make sure that you're using different channels to follow up because sometimes people forget about emails and the text is kind of like, right there. Number four is sending the same message repeatedly. Go
Before
ahead.
that, in addition to just phone numbers, WhatsApp is now being used also to follow up. Yeah, to send kind of like little updates to clients. So yeah, number is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead, continue.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely want to make sure that that's a good idea. So what's up? And then number four is sending the same message repeatedly. You don't want to send the same message more than once because that looks very unprofessional. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are looking through your sequence and making sure that everything looks good. And then not having a system in place. This is the system that you want to have in place. If you don't have something in place, you can potentially lose so many sales. And again, like I was talking a little bit earlier about that client who signed up with Growth Genie and then now he has like um all of, like now he has a system and then he was able to get a big sale over text. You don't want to stop you want to have a system, okay? Um you're busy, you're running your company, you just set this up and then it's just like something that automatically happens. And then, of course, your best practice is going to be setting up a simple system that runs consistently. When you're creating your workflows, you want to test them and make sure that they're working like they should. Alrighty, that's all I have for today. Anything else you want to share?
Yeah, thank you, Maria. And that's always a good win to share about the client. And it was just recently signed up and then just turned on the missed call text back, and that's $1,000 um transaction. So imagine
Yeah.
the power of having a system set in place. And thank you, Maria. So, what you just saw is the difference between hoping leads come back and also having a system that actually brings them back. And when you have that, you will be able to convert more leads without increasing your ad spend, and you can continue to be consistent without adding extra effort or without manually thinking about all these things. And of course, it will reduce missed opportunities and may even turn old leads into new sales. Overall, it's a win-win. It's a very good win for your business, and it can even create a better experience for your prospects. So just like what Maria has said, if you don't have anything set up like this, it's a great place to start. And for our clients, you can always message us and we'll be able to help you out with setting up something. And for those who will be able to watch this publicly, so you can see the power of Growth Genie 360 in creating a system like this for your business. And we're wrapping up now, but a quick note, if you're watching this recording sometime after today and notice that what you're seeing on your screen looks a little different than what we have shown, that's completely normal. Don't panic, because GrowGenie 360 is an ever evolving platform. The system continues to update features, layouts, and functionality because we want to continue to better support businesses. So while sometime maybe a year from now, buttons or options may be different or may shift, but the core strategies and systems that we covered here will always still apply. Okay, so just taking a look at our community. If we have any questions, I'm not seeing any at the moment. But if you once I will just repeat myself. If you have any question later on as you watch the recording, do drop that in whatever comment section you are catching us from. All right. So thank you so much, everybody. It's been
Thank
a
you,
pleasure.
everybody.
And yeah, we're going to close our live stream now. I'm finding the button. Wait, where is that? I'm looking at the recording. Uh, Live stream. Bye.